Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Okay. How many of you, by show of hands, have traveled outside America before? Okay, a good number of you. So I'm going to talk to you about my senior trip today. We went to Europe right before I graduated. And no, this was not like super easy for me to go. I spent 2 years raising the money for this because I thought it was worth it to travel outside the country. But half of my class decided to stay home because they thought, why go to the Swiss Alps when you can see the Smokies in Tennessee? To me, that seemed a little ridiculous, so I'm going to talk to you about what I think are benefits of traveling outside of the country. We went to about 6 countries, and it took us about 20 hours to get there. But we first landed in Rothenburg, Germany, and we went from there to lots of different countries. So on the left and on the right are pictures from Rothenburg. And one of the first things that I noticed and continued to notice throughout the trip was how different the architecture is. Obviously it's older, so the style is different, but I just loved all of the colors and different styles that they use in their just average architecture in Europe. And in the middle there is the Rhine River in Mannheim, which, big history thing. Here is our first day in Austria. So in the middle there is Mozart's house. He lived in Salzburg for a time. On the left is Mirabel Garden in front of the Mozarteum University in Salzburg. And then on the right, St. Michael's Basilica in Muncie. That's where the wedding of Maria took place in The Sound of Music. And I loved seeing all of the Sound of Music things in Salzburg because that was one of my favorite movies as a child. So seeing those in real life was super cool. That's where they sang Do Re Mi, in case you didn't know. And that's the cemetery scene when they were hiding from the Nazis. So super cool to see those, with my own eyes. And then trying different foods that I would never eat in America. On the left is beet tartare topped with raw salmon and caviar, which in America wouldn't even think about it. But over there I was like, sure, why not? And I actually kind of enjoyed it, frankly. And then there's Hitler's Eagle Nest Fortress in Obersalzberg. Super cool. He used it during World War II. And there's a Vespa. And then Luxembourg City, wasn't expecting to like Luxembourg, but on the right here is the Bach Casemates, and it's called the most beautiful balcony in the world. It was built in the 1700s, and it was also used as a bomb shelter in World War II. And then on the left there is a Euro, and those are scrumptious. I highly recommend. And then Belgium was near the top of my list of my favorites. On the right here is a foxhole used in the Battle of the Bulge. We visited the Battle of the Bulge Museum in Estonia. There I am holding some remains that I found. I didn't take those home, don't worry, I left them there. And then on the left is a Belgian waffle, 10 out of 10, one of my favorite foods that we ate in Europe. Switzerland, super cheap to travel to actually, and very clean, I loved it. But their really big thing is the Abbey in St. Gallen, and lots of tourists go there. In the middle you can see the cathedral is meant to reflect Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel. So I thought that was really cool. And just a huge part of their culture is their cathedrals. And that was another thing I noticed was that a lot of our churches here, at least that we go to, do not look like this. On the left is the cathedral that guards Maximilian I's tomb in Austria. And just the nature of the architecture is meant to point your view to the sky and to God. And I just thought that was super cool and different from what we have in America. And then just seeing history with my own eyes, what we've read about. On the left is Dachau concentration camp in Germany. And then on the right is the Abbey Library in St. Gall. It houses books from the 8th century, making it one of the oldest libraries in the world. And I just loved seeing history. And then it also encouraged patriotism in us. Luxembourg especially loves America. They actually fly our flag on a lot of their street corners because we liberated them in World War II, so they love Americans. And then on the left there, that's in Estonia. They have a memorial to each of our states, of the 50 states, because of the Battle of the Bulge, where we sacrificed a lot of soldiers. And then to continue that theme, you can see the difference in graveyards. On the left is Luxembourg Cemetery, which honors our soldiers from D-Day. And then on the right, Sandweiler German Cemetery. It still honors them, but it's a lot more somber because they recognize that they lost the war and that they were wrong in what they did. It grew my appreciation for literally water. Water is free in America and it is not free in Europe. So I was very dehydrated, but that lasted me a week. So, and then I also really loved just buying things locally rather than big name chain souvenir stuff. Super cool, and it just helps out locals, and you can appreciate it a lot more. So I hope that this speech has made you think a little bit about what other countries have to offer, because America is super cool, We love our country, but other countries have super cool things to offer as well. So I hope you will take that into consideration.